This is a presentation on decision-making in the workplace. Today, our learning objective is to understand how managers solve problems and make decisions.
First, we're going to talk about different types of decisions. There's simple, complicated, complex, and chaotic. Simple decisions are situations that are stable, clear, and easily discernible by everyone. These decisions are usually unquestionable because the right answer is clear. Complicated decisions contain multiple right answers. Complex decisions are mostly used because major changes introduce unpredictability in the workplace. There's usually one right answer, but it's not easily found. Chaotic decisions are where there's no patterns that exist, and searching for right answers would be pointless. You have to do something that works in order to establish order first, and then you go on making the best decisions possible. There are different types of decision makers, authoritative and participative. Authoritative leaders are the ones that have total control and ownership over the decision making. They make decisions on their own with no help from others. Participative are the leaders that allow members to express their ideas and feelings through collaboration, joint decisions, and delegation.
Within the organizational decision-making, there's a process of identifying and solving problems. The first is problem identification stage, and the second is problem solution stage. And the first stage, we see a lot of constraints involved. We can see within two frameworks of the types of decisions. So we can call them the simple decisions and the complex decisions. The one we will call the programmed decisions, which are repetitive and well-defined. The non-programmed decisions are novel and poorly defined. So they're new and uncommon, and they're hectic and dynamic, and there are no certain answers to these. Within the non-programmed decision-making, or within the complex decision-making, there are three types of constraints that are seen within the organization. The first one is the bounded rationality, where the logic answers are dominant, and those are, for instance, limited time and information, resources to deal with complex multi-dimensional issues. So as the organization is looking at a problem, they're thinking about it with the brain, and they're looking at it from a very rational perspective, which can also constrain them. The other perspective is the organizational constraints, which is you have a need for agreement among all the people in the organization. You have to have a shared perspective, which takes a long time to get to that point. You have to have cooperation from everyone, and you have to have the support from everyone. Thus, the organizational constraints is that you want everyone to be agreeable about the one decision or choice. The last one is the personal constraint, which is mostly seen with the leader, which can have a desire for prestige or success. The leader can have a dominant personal decisional style that can overrule the rest of the people's influence on the decision, and they can have a need to satisfy emotional needs. All of these three constraints have trade-offs that have had to be implemented in order for the decision choice to be made so that the organization can receive the high-quality decision alternative that they're seeking.
One misconception with the rise of big data in organizational decision-making is the idea that big data can make all of our business decisions for us. In one case study where we see that big data doesn't always hold all the answers is in the gorilla ad for Cadbury chocolate. A lot of the big producers at the company were thinking, this ad has nothing to do with our brand, the consumers are not going to like it, they're not going to respond to it. But there was one executive that said, no, this is a great ad, it's going to do really great things for us. And so he pushed it through. And it ended up being majorly successful, even though the data had said that it might not be as successful. This brings up the relationship between intuition and insight in decision making, and what a vital role that they play. Intuition is a cultivatable skill. It's not something that you're born with or born without. It's not a gift. It's a skill that as you gain experience, you will have better intuition and you will be able to help make better decisions than just big data. Intuition is gained from cultivated experience. As a leader has experience in different companies or over time, they get certain skills, soft skills, that help them to make decisions that data can't necessarily tell you. Insight is related to intuition in that it comes when we've built up a substantial amount of intuition from experience.
The next thing we'll be talking about is the importance of emotional intelligence when making decisions in an organization. Emotions running high can have a negative effect on decision making, and it's important to learn to rein in those emotions so that we can engage our prefrontal cortex, which is the part of our brain responsible for looking at the big picture and long-term planning. Based on our research from Lorena Case, one method of reining in these emotions is to think of it like a roller coaster and to let those heightened emotions ride out for a moment, and then after they pass, begin to make decisions effectively. Next, we'll be talking about awareness. It's important as a leader to have awareness when making a decision. There are two different types of awareness. The first is social awareness, and this deals with empathy and knowing how other people will be affected by the decision and also respond to the decision. You need to sense emotions in others and have an active interest in their concern. Next, we have self-awareness, and there are three types of self-awareness, which are emotional self-awareness, making an accurate assessment, and confidence in your decision-making. Emotional self-awareness is reading one's own emotions and recognizing their impact and using your gut sense to guide decisions. Accurate self-assessment is knowing your own strengths and limits and deferring to expertise when necessary. And third is self-confidence, sensing your own self-worth and capabilities.
Based on what we've learned today, here are some tips for managers. Gain experience to cultivate good intuition. Use emotion as a tool and not as a constraint. Ride it out when emotions are high, and then make your decision once you're level-headed. Factor in the opinions of others. Be aware of your own bias, and find trade-offs that work with constraints in your workplace. Thank you.